Robyn and Kody bought a bigger home. Were we all wrong? Did we all get the wrong impression and the wrong idea? Did the sun let us down? I'm not abandoning it yet, and here's why. Propaganda for the show. That's a big thing. Like since this news of the divorce, prospectively, and maybe them selling their home, all that news dropped, there has been a repeated chant of, this is all propaganda for the show. Don't you think the timing is kind of funny that all of a sudden 2 weeks out from them actually doing this, that this information drops 2 weeks from the time that the next season starts, this information comes to light? Isn't that kind of funny? It is. And I have to admit that the timing is very suspicious. And this speaks to the timing, of course. 2 weeks before the show comes out, all of a sudden all this information comes out and it gets people's juices flowing and they develop interest in the show and they want to see what's going on and they want to find out new information. So they may tune in and watch. But let's not forget, these are reality TV stars. Reality TV stars. This isn't, Jake Gyllenhaal or Brad Pitt or somebody. This is Kody Brown. This is Robyn Brown. They're tied into networks. They have NDAs to consider, non-disclosure agreements to consider. They also have to consider strategies in order for them to keep their behinds on the show. Because what is TLC paying for? TLC is paying for the exclusive right to show their lives. Full stop. If Robyn and Kody put their house on the market sometime in May or June, which would have probably been the best time to do it, usually sometime during the spring, you really want to try to start pushing out real estate, especially if you're going for like a $1.6 million family home in that top end bracket. You really want to try to put that out when people's kids can finish school and they have enough time to come in, look at the school or look at the house, negotiate prices, set a closing date, and have everything done before the school year starts. That makes sense. But why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they take that good example? Because of the TV show. Had they listed their home sometime when they normally would have listed it, then we would have had all summer to talk about how they're selling their house and how all this, that, and other is going on. And it might have undercut a lot of what they were trying to do. Think of the trailer. What was the trailer? Oh, I'm going to talk to an attorney. That was a good sizzle trailer. But had they been talking about selling the home, be like, oh, Janelle, you better hurry up and get that attorney, girl, because they finna get abscond with the money. So there's a reason why they wouldn't have listed the home until 2 weeks before. And I'll get into this a little further on down the line. Another thing that I am a little skeptical on is the source of the information about them buying a new, bigger, better home. From what I can gather from the source of this story, it comes from someone who toured the family home in hopes to purchase an investment property. That's at least what's reported to us or what's told to us. And this is how it's presented to everybody, that they went in, they took a look around, they had these conversations with the realtors and all this. And it's all on the auspice of somebody that we heard from. Now, from what I can gather, the source from this story comes from someone who toured the house and spoke to Kody and Robyn's realtor. When asked, why are they selling the house? The realtor responded that they have a bigger house that they're moving into, and the closing date for that bigger home that they plan on purchasing and moving into is October 12th. Hence, they're moving into a bigger, better home. But we can't lose sight of the fact that the realtor could have been saying all this as a negotiation tactic. Like, the last thing you want to do if you're trying to do a sale, especially if it's a commission-based sale, your paycheck relies on how much or how little you sell this house for. So if that's the case, I'm not going to tell a prospective buyer that, oh yeah, my client is desperate. They have to get out of here because they broke as hell and they want to sell the house before the tax man or the bank comes and takes it from them. Because if I do that, then negotiation price is going to be in the toilet. Okay, there is no negotiation. I'll give you, you're selling it for 1.6, I'll give you an even one and we'll just call it a day. But their bills are like 1.2. Well, they'll have to figure that out. That other two, they have to figure it out. That's my two. So a realtor won't necessarily tell you the truth when it comes to why the person is moving, why the person is selling, because it could affect the price and the sale price. So I want to keep that in mind. Also, it should be noted, there were a few years that I recall that Robyn and Kody were in jeopardy because they were late paying property taxes or they didn't have it and they were neglecting to pay certain taxes or whatever. So again, that lends to me more that they couldn't afford the house. And we'll get into some of that as well when we talk about like the maintenance costs or what they call the deferred maintenance, meaning that they weren't keeping up with the house. And you know who can't keep up with the house? People who can't afford to be in the house. In furtherance, the original poster, the person who came out with this original story, also said that she had a conversation or they had a conversation with the realtor. And they made the suggestion, the original poster made the suggestion that the house is about 20% overpriced. And the realtor had, somewhat agreed and said that the house was actually 10 to 12% overpriced. Again, they work on commission too, so it probably is closer to 20%. They were also told that currently the house is in a position of non-negotiation. The price is firm. And the reasons that they were given is because, one, the house is new to the market. Okay, I understand that. You just put the house up. The last thing you want to do is start cutting money off the price of the house because you might have only had a couple showings in the house in the first place. But two, the second reason they gave to me was hilarious. According to them, the owner of the house is a big deal. He's a celebrity. And he feels like he can get more because the house belonged to a celebrity. And in my perspective, and I could just be a weird person. I could be weird. But I think that it makes sense to me. Let me know whether you guys agree with me or disagree with me down below. But the last thing I would do if I'm going to spend $1 million on a home is get a house that's going to be on the sister-wife tour, fanboy tours, or anytime somebody comes into town who watches the show and they're in Arizona, they're in Flagstaff, they're going to say, let's stop by two places. Kody Pass, I call it Kody Pass because this dude's trying to take that land at Coyote Poop Pass. He's trying to take that for himself. So you're going to stop at Kody Pass, and you're going to go to the McMansion. And I'm not paying over $1 million to have looky-loos driving up and down the street to look at my house, especially if you have kids or if you have grandkids or your wife or somebody, hell, you out there in your bathing suit. You don't necessarily want strangers driving up and down the street looking at your property because it used to belong to Kody Brown and they've seen it on the TV show. It just is what it is. So if anything, to me, like a house that's outside of school, a house on a busy highway, or a house that's going to get high traffic, that house gets percentage points knocked off the asking price, as far as I'm concerned, because it's not a value to me that you used to live here, because that does nothing for me. If you purchased a home, you can't go to the next prospective buyer and say, oh yeah, by the way, you know who used to live here? Kody Brown. In addition, Kody Brown? Oh, are you carrying to sell my house for less money because I'm famous? You're not famous as much as you're infamous, okay? You're not a famous person, you're infamous. Like I said, the house sounds like it's in need of dire repair. So of course, when you start talking about taking money off, if you have maintenance and things like that, you have boards coming up, you have mold in the house, you have scratches on the floor, so your floors have to be reconditioned, you have to do the walls, you have to finish tile, you have mold remediation that has to occur, you have to repair a deck, and and they have a lot of decking in that house. So that's expensive, especially in this particular area. It's even crazier. So I don't see a universe where if you spend $1.6 million and that's the market, around the market value for the rest of these homes, I don't see you spending that level of money for a house that's not turnkey. This house should be, I walk in, I turn the key, the house is perfect for me to start moving my furniture in. I'm not spending $1.6 million on a fixer-upper. Okay, and then my neighbor's house is 1.4, maybe my other neighbor's house is 1.8. I'm not spending that extra money so I can say that I live in Kody Brown's old house. Not happening. Going big to save money. What's the number one rule of real estate? Location, location, location. The best example of this particular principle was actually provided by the Brown families themselves. Coyote Pass was purchased for $820,000. It's 4 parcels that total about 14 acres. Janelle Brown, she went down and recently purchased the property for $289,000 in North Carolina. She has 152 acres, and she received that property for not half, but almost a quarter of what they paid in Arizona. Similarly situated house listed in Flagstaff cost more than a house in Scottsdale. So if they're moving from Flagstaff, they sell their house for $1.6 million in Flagstaff, and they move down to Scottsdale, then they're paying significantly less money for the same level of home, if not bigger, than they would for the house up in Flagstaff. Now, granted, they very well may lose some acreage with that purchase, but you could live lovely in a bigger home. They prospectively could save thousands of dollars per month in utility costs, just utility costs. Now, for instance, the original poster, the person who originally went into the house and posted all the information that we're talking about now, she asked, how much do they pay as far as utilities? According to them, the Browns pay about, Kody and Robyn, they pay about $5,000 a year in gas. Okay, pretty pricey, but prospectively could be lower in Scottsdale. Maybe they don't even have to pay for gas. Maybe they're not even going to use propane. There's also a point where they're asked about the electric bill. For electric, they pay anywhere from $300 to $1,400 per month. $300 to $1,400 per month. Okay? Then for the water, they have a 5,000 gallon cistern that has to be filled up, and they pay $600 per haul for that cistern to fill that water up. Now that, they say they use maybe once or twice per month. So anywhere from $600 to $1,200 per month for just that. So just between, the water and electricity, you could prospectively be paying somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,800. So you're paying $2,800 just to wash your butt and to turn a light on. Okay? Whereas down in Scottsdale, the utilities, a lot of Scottsdale, from my understanding, and please correct me down below if I'm wrong, but in Scottsdale, the utilities are provided by the city of Scottsdale, so you're connected, which could be significantly lower as far as how much you're paying. Now, here's the big question. Does this mean that they aren't getting divorced? Does this mean that the son is wrong? Does this mean that all the reporting that came out that said that they were arguing, fussing, feuding, fighting, that they were scrapping, that they were talking about leaving one another? Does this mean that that's wrong? Not necessarily. Because just as arguing, fussing, feuding, and fighting, and even threatening to get divorced doesn't mean that you're going to get divorced. Selling your home and purchasing another home doesn't mean that your marriage is perfect. It doesn't mean that everything is going well. It doesn't mean that you're in love because you're buying a new house. What it could mean is that you couldn't afford to be where you were, so you're moving to somewhere more reasonable, so the bank don't come get it. It could also mean that you're trying to work on your marriage. You're trying to heal the problems, because a big issue in your marriage very well may have been the finances. A big issue that they may have been struggling with was the money that was being put out and the lack of money coming in. So they're trying to heal that marriage. You're trying to save that marriage by moving to somewhere where it's still a nice house. You still get the zip code. You still get the area code. You still get the big pictures on the internet, and you still get to pretend to be a star, but you're paying significantly less money. And hopefully that will ease some of the burden for the tension in your marriage. Now, here's the thing. And I seem to be doing this more and more in some of these videos, especially when I'm talking about Kody and Robyn. But here's the dark side. Welcome to the dark side. If that annoys you, let me know down below. But here's the thing. It keeps sticking in my mind that this one thing, and it is dumb. It's dumb as hell. And I'm the first to admit it. It's a dumb thing to do. And if they are doing it, this is stupid. Please don't do this. But might as well say it anyway, because it keeps sticking in my craw. I can't escape the idea that they're selling this house because they want to further remove this asset from the original use of funds that were gifted to them from Mary and Janelle when they sold their houses in Vegas, and they gave the proceeds from those home sales to Robyn and Kody so that they could purchase the McMansion. I can see a weird universe in which they believe that if they sell the McMansion for double the money and they purchase another home, that they can go back and argue with Janelle and Mary and say, look, it wasn't your money that helped us buy this new house, so no, you don't own any of this house. You don't own any of this because we bought the McMansion and we used X amount of dollars from you guys. Then we doubled that money because we sold the house for almost twice the amount we purchased it for, and that's how we were able to get this house. Now, again, that would be dumb, because if you owe them money, you owe them money. But that's a real world solution to a real world problem. And if I'm going to be honest, I've never quite accused Kody or Robyn of being firmly planted in this reality. Okay, they live in a different level of reality or plane of existence than I currently reside on. Because in my world, certain things like you treating your wife bad, you can't be surprised that she leaves. That's just my reality. In my reality, if you don't call and build and maintain relationships, you can't expect those relationships to last. But that's in my reality. In their reality, they don't understand why people leave. They don't understand why Kody's wives walked out on him and left him. They don't understand why these women aren't continuing to contribute to them socially, financially, morally, psychologically, so on and so forth. So, I don't know. That's my take. Let me know what you guys think down below, because I'm very curious what you guys get from the original post of them possibly getting a bigger home, how they're getting this bigger home. Are they still in trouble in a relationship? Is this just stuff that they're saying for propaganda's sake to try to push this new season? I don't know. But this has been My Take. I'm James. This is My Take on Reality, and I'm out. 'Cause I've been living life right like I